in Texas. My name is Jeff Taylor. I'm a product marketing manager on the Instagram business team. I am thrilled to be joined here today with Ali Weiss, who's the SVP of marketing for Glossier. This live session is the first in a series we're calling No Filter. It's a time where we're going to discuss the ins and outs of a brand strategy on Instagram, and we're going to do it all in 15 minutes. These chats should hopefully give you some insight into the power of mobile video and some of the great things that brands on our platform are doing. So today, we're chatting with Glossier, and we're talking about how they're using stories, what their creative process looks like, and how they measure success. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Ali, who's going to tell us a little bit about Glossier.
Thanks, Jeff. Glossier is a direct-to-consumer beauty brand that has been founded on community and content. We are based in New York City. We started about 3.5 years ago, and we currently sell products across makeup, skincare, body, and fragrance.
Excellent. Now, for as long as I can remember, you guys have been excellent on our platform. Can you tell us a little bit about the role that Instagram plays for you?
This is actually a really exciting conversation to be having right now because Glossier was founded and launched on Instagram. So when we started Glossier back in October 2014, prior to launching our products that month, we built the entire brand story on Instagram. And the reasoning behind that is we actually started as an editorial platform, and so we knew the important role content played in forming relationships with consumers, telling the story, being able to express our brand vision. And so we started the Glossier account prior to launching the products and started garnering an audience and telling our story there. So it is a platform that's very special to us, and today it is our largest social platform. We just crossed the 1 million follower mark, and we actually have a highly engaged audience, both through our feed and our stories.
Amazing. So you've seen extraordinary growth in a pretty short period of time. Since we launched Instagram Stories back in 2016, we've also seen incredible growth there. I'd love for you to just talk a little bit about how you see that experience, how you're evolving over time, how you think about creating for vertical, and how you use Instagram Stories.
So Instagram Stories created another channel for us. We definitely think of it as almost a separate channel. It's the same audience, but another channel for storytelling. So that's very much how we approach our relationship with our customers and our audiences, whether or not they are customers. We think of our Instagram feed, our Facebook, our website, our editorial platform as forms of storytelling, and each of them has a different angle. And when you come and find us on one of those channels, you're able to see a slightly different perspective of what our brand is, what we stand for, and learn about our products. So Stories in particular has been fantastic because it's enabled us to do two things we weren't doing before. The first is very quick, punchy product storytelling. We're able to go through different points about our products that express to our audience how we made them, what effects they can have, what they look like. We can show them on lots of different types of people. So it gives us a platform to do that. That was not necessarily possible in the feed where a series of images or series of messages were broken up and you weren't necessarily engaging through sequentially. And the other piece that's really important to Glossier is defining what it is to be a beauty brand today in the world. Beauty has traditionally been a very top-down industry where the brand is right and the customer is listening to you. And we very much believe in the power of the individual as an expert. And so what it enables us to do is to tell our behind-the-scenes beliefs, how we operate every day, how we're putting the customer first. And so the other chapter that we use Stories for is to tell the Glossier company story, who works there, what we believe, what motivates us, what inspires us every day.
That's amazing. I'd love to dial in a little bit on that. Could you talk about how you arrived at this brand voice? I mean, one of the things I admire about your brand is the authenticity, the way that you create a community and a sense of belonging. So as you look at feed and how it complements what you're doing now in Instagram Stories, could you talk about that?
Yes, so how we arrived at the brand voice, one of the most important things to us is that in today's world, a consumer does not want to be convinced by a brand. They look to others. They look to individuals for information, for reviews. And so we have really taken that to heart and thought how we can either be that friend or that voice, not as much of a brand, and if not, facilitate communications among our community that are individual to individual. So we're able to do that through Stories in many ways because, I mean, one of the great use cases actually is taking screenshots of customer reviews. We would never post that on our feed, quite frankly, because the feed lives forever and it's a true mood board of what the Glossier brand is in that moment and what we're expressing. But what we want to do is connect consumers to consumers so that they're able to hear each other's opinions and start conversations with each other. So it plays a key role in that as well.
Really interesting as you're thinking about evergreen content and sort of in the moment behind the scenes. So could you talk a little bit about how your team is organized and how you think about development of creative, both from a strategic perspective, but actually how you get it done?
So at Glossier, we have marketing team and creative team that partner very closely together. And there's a bit of a mix in there when we start looking at our editorial and social platforms, which are marketing channels but require immense creative effort in order to put things into the world every single day. So we collaborate extremely closely with the creative team, and then there are people sitting on the marketing team too who are curators of that content, editors of the content, and also producing real time in particular on stories, the content that we're making. It's really interesting because I think we are a newer company, so we haven't really had to change processes that were set in stone, but we've had to evolve processes. So when you think about the vertical format specifically, that doesn't feel like a huge challenge to us because we're almost making it up as we go along. And so we have very organically incorporated that in. I can give you an example which might be helpful, which is on stories. We launched it back in January, and we were trying to create a conversation among our audience around the idea of a resolution and a skincare resolution. So what people are talking about in January is refreshing their routine, trying something new. And so we created an asset that was very simple for stories. It was vertical, the Glossier pink background, and it said, my skincare resolution is : and we gave our audience step-by-step instructions of how they could use that asset to express their skincare resolution. So we said, take a screenshot, upload it to your stories, write in what your skincare resolution is, share it, and tag us. And then we were able to create an entire series of our customer skincare resolutions. So the creative process behind that was much more in the idea than it was in creating the asset. Creating the asset took probably a couple of minutes on the team once the idea was there. So I think that's a great example of how we're able to use stories specifically to enable our community to engage with each other and with our brand.
While also maintaining that conversation and that dialogue. On the point of conversation, I think you guys have a very unique approach to customer service. Would you mind talking about how you think about customer experience, customer service using Instagram and stories?
Yes, so we put the customer first before anything, and people ask, how do you show the customer that you're listening to her? And it's really simple. We listen to her. We have the customer experience team, which we define customer experience as the team members that we refer to as the G team, who interact daily with our customers, people who have questions, who want shade recommendations, who just want to know more about Glossier, quite frankly, who may have a shipping problem, whatever questions they may have, the G team is at the front lines of interacting with our customer. And we have this philosophy that we want to meet her where she is. So if she DMs us on Instagram, the last thing that we want to do is tell her to email another email address, the same exact thing that she DM'd us on Instagram. So we've really leveraged the platform to interact in a very native way with our customers, meeting her where she is. And we find that we are able to answer questions faster, more real time, and we see their happiness and sort of emotional connection with the brand go up. Something that was really incredible is we posted a story about the G team on our Instagram stories relatively recently, and we have a lot of open positions on the team. And from that single story post about talking to our audience about the G team, we received 350 applications for roles on the G team.
That is a perfect segue as we start to talk about how you think about success and how you measure your efforts that you're doing. Obviously, in a recruitment effort, getting those applications is clearly what you're looking to do. But can you talk about your broader strategy? So thinking about your evergreen approach within Instagram and then broadly within stories, how do you measure success? How do you think about what is working and then continue to invest in those?
So on the feed specifically, we really are focused almost always on engagement. Do people like what we're posting? Do people engage? What type of conversation? It's not just a measurement, but is the quality of conversation in the post what we want it to be? And what's been so incredible as we've grown with our customers is they have started answering questions for each other. They've started driving the conversation, and so that's something that's really important to us on the feed. There are things that we sprinkle in, like the shoppable posts, where we'll tag and drive traffic to a specific product page, but mainly in the feed, we're very focused on engagement and conversation. And then within stories, our goals really change based on what our priority is at that moment and what we think the customer is going to find valuable in her life that day. So on the day we launch a product, we launched our Lid Star, our glistening eye glow, on March 5th. We actually launched it through the Oscars on March 4th and then brought the product live on March 5th. And so the first thing that we put on stories was swipe up to the product page, because that's very natural. That's her point of interest that day. That said, on Fridays, we do our weekly wallpapers. It's something our audience has come to expect from us and come to value. And what we did there is it's specific to story content. It is a wallpaper for your phone. And we'll show you the wallpaper, and we'll say the weekly wallpaper has been released, and you swipe up and you can download that wallpaper. What's amazing about that is for Glossier girls around the world who don't live in a country where we distribute products right now, they can have a piece of the brand every single week. And so a measurement there is how many people download the wallpaper. Another piece is just, are people viewing our stories, and what are they saying to us? Again, we see a lot of DMs straight out of our stories, and is it what we're showing them resonating with them?
And I know you've seen a lot of growth here in the United States, but also you're thinking globally. Is that sort of how you start to test the markets and understand where you're going to see success, both from a perspective on Instagram, but then also towards sales of product in the future?
Yes, so we look at our audience on the platform very often, and what we also love doing is looking at the audiences of our audience. So at the end of the day, we believe in the power of the individual. So the individuals that are following us and engaging with us also have a circle of influence that are following them and engaging with them. And so we definitely use our understanding there and how we get a read on what they like and where they live to inform our strategy. We do that across several platforms, but it is a piece or an input there.
Great. So one of my favorite things is for you guys is really about the community and that sense of belonging. I'm wondering if, and we look out to our global audience here, really thinking about tips that you might have for those that are just getting started in stories. They're trying to find their voice, and they really want to understand how to get going quickly and really start to see some of the results that you guys have had.
I think the thing that is most special about stories that makes it different from the feed is that it can be real time. It can be a look into an individual's life, the goings on at a brand, really truly behind the scenes, and remind yourself that even the thing that you see every day, the thing you're talking about at your company every single day, is going to be new to your audience, and it's going to be interesting. We live in a world today where people want the real stuff. They want what's going on. They don't want the edited, top-down messaging. They just want to hear from you and what's happening in your everyday, whether or not you're a person or a business. And that's really our perspective on stories. It's how can we show you a little bit of us to let you know what we're all about, rather just than the most edited, beautiful version of ourselves.
And any tips for learning about your audience and for you guys trying to understand who she is? How do you think about our platforms for that?
Conversation. So your point about building community, the only true way to build community is conversation. And so we've gone out on our platforms and we've asked questions. A really good example is when we developed our Priming Moisturizer Rich, which is a thick face cream. We leveraged a lot of platforms that we use, but we found the most engagement on the Instagram platform to ask, what do you want in this product? And it was amazing to see the responses. And it was not just a one-way push out and see how they react, but we were pulling from them information, reactions, emotions, perceptions. So the biggest thing for me is really creating conversation. The platform's not just meant to put something in the world, but really take something back for your brand as well.
Have that dialogue and education. Okay. So with that, I'm going to start to close us up here. And one of the things that we do for most of our live conversations is a quick lightning round. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I'm going to start just talking about Austin because we're here for South by Southwest. And then I'd love to extend the conversation into both Instagram as well as Glossier. So
my answer is queso.
You were pretty close. Barbecue or tacos?
Tacos.
Tacos. Favorite emoji?
My personal favorite is the 3 sparkles, and the Glossier favorite is the 3 water drops.
3 water drops. Dewy face.
Dewy.
Okay. Gift stickers or face filters?
Stickers.
Okay, so moving over to Glossier. The selfie or top shelfie?
The selfie.
And a bold lip or bold eyebrow?
Bold eyebrow.
Okay, boy brow.
Boy brow.
Favorite Glossier activation? Gloskers or Body Hero?
Body Hero.
Okay.
Sorry, Gloskers.
Well, you had Beyonce, so you had some help there. Okay, so with that, I want to close out with a big thank you. First of all, Ali, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
All these tips to our audience here and around the world. I would like to also just give a quick shout out at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. We're going to have Story School, which is a fun, interactive how-to on really how to get started with creative on Instagram Stories. So hopefully you all can join us then, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.